Who gets into the Stanford GSB? Maybe we should first address who doesn't get into the Stanford GSB, because there are so many misconceptions about the average admit to the GSB. So first off, you do not need to be a tech entrepreneur or a VC or a crypto guy or an AI or machine learning expert. Really? Reality check, 20% of the class is going to come from consulting. Okay, but that's the past. Do you need to say that you will become an AI expert or an entrepreneur for Stanford to bet on you? Absolutely not. If you have no background in these areas, saying that you plan to enter them upon graduating from Stanford will make it seem like you don't understand how careers work and will thus likely lead to your rejection. I mention this up front because these are dangerous misconceptions about a school that is consistently the most selective in the world. The GSB may be ultra selective, but it's not filled with niche applicants. Definitionally, that's impossible. It's filled with individuals who have done, as the GSB AdCom has said in the past, the commonplace things remarkably well. In past videos, I've referred to these applicants as incrementally better and discussed how small turns of the dial add up, and that's true. Yes, there are a few standouts in the GSB class, but the GSB class will still have large constituencies of consultants, private equity associates, brand managers. 5% of the class comes from the military. So don't worry about pretending to be who you're not. Instead, amplify who you are. This isn't some hokey, everyone is special advice. It's actually very straightforward. By sharing the best of yourself rather than someone you're pretending to be, you're giving yourself your best shot. So, what are those turns of the dial that make you an incrementally better applicant? As I discussed in our video on the stats you need to get into the Stanford GSB, there are enough consultants in the pool that having a strong undergrad GPA and high GRE or GMAT won't set you apart. But what if you have high stats and you have a faster than average promotion at your firm that is a result of being truly impactful, and you haven't just volunteered in your community, but you've led volunteers, and maybe you've done this in more than one community organization, or maybe you quasi-volunteered at your friend's startup and helped him or her achieve liftoff. In this case, our theoretical consultant isn't just relying on her stats. She isn't really even just a consultant. She is excelling in a variety of areas, and it might be enough for her to stand taller than her peers with average stats who've done their work well and even done some sporadic volunteering. The increments become far more significant relative to the group. These increments don't just appear. They're the result of a long-term orientation towards being an impact player, and Stanford and HBS tend to vie for those impact players, for those initiators. So you need to be that person in your own way and then express it throughout your application. Some good news / bad news about the GSB application. The bad news, the GSB has one of the most demanding applications among the top programs. 2 main essays, plus 4 significant short answers on your accomplishments and values. That's a lot of work. The good news is you have a story to tell. You should be able to tell it fully. Some other schools are more restrictive, like CBS or Wharton. They're far more limiting in their number of essays and the malleability of their essays. At Stanford, you have that room to run. So let's dig in. The GSB asks the big questions. What matters to you most and why? That is vexing for many, and I would strongly suggest that you check out our free book of successful GSB applications to learn more. These are not essays you should copy, of course. I'm suggesting this so that you have a place to level set and get inspired. With a question as big as what matters, your response must be true to you. It can't be, again, what you think others want to hear. You need to really understand what makes you tick, and then you need to back that up substantively in your essays with examples that prove that narrative out. It isn't enough to just say that you're driven by an intense spirit of discovery, for example. You need to walk the walk and show that you are. You need to offer the anecdotes that back that up. Another doozy for many, the simply worded "Why Stanford?" Here, I beg of you, please do not, you guessed it, pander to the GSB. And also, do not go for the easy pickings. Yes, Touchy-Feely and the Startup Garage are great and fun classes. They're also quite well known, and if used as filler, they can make it seem like you're being a little bit lazy and don't really know your reasons for wanting to attend the GSB. So know your reasons, do your research, Get beyond the cliches by talking to students and alums. Meet with the school's ambassadors online. Then, only when you truly know the school, start writing. Provide some brief context and goals that are true to you, and then really answer why Stanford in particular has the resources and environment to facilitate your ambitious dream. Indeed, make sure those goals are really ambitious. Not wild fantasies, but achievable, bold, maybe your boldest dreams. I should digress and note that you can find our GSB's Insider's Guide and 2 in-depth modules on the GSB, learn about the GSB and GSB application steps in OnTrack, our online application platform. I even analyze sample GSB essays in our personal statement and essay modules. I think that those live critiques are really valuable. I highly encourage you to check out OnTrack via our free plan. Yes, a free plan that gives you, again, similar to Stanford essays, lots of room to roam. You can check it out at ontrack.mbaMission.com. Now, for the most substantial short answer questions, you have space to share 3 examples of meaningful impact in your professional, extracurricular, or academic life, and another space in which to discuss how your experiences and values have informed your decisions. Here, you have to keep the reader learning. Do whatever you can to avoid redundancy with your What Matters essay, and even the content in your resume or other short answers. You have to keep the reader learning with each prompt. Otherwise, they will yawn and lose interest. That's just human nature. No one wants to read about 3 accomplishments for the same work project, or for that matter, 3 stories that are all thematically identical but in different environments. You need to demonstrate real impact, but also make sure that an outsider can answer, what did I just learn about this person, with a substantive response. Like I said, your resume is important to telling a full story about you, and it should be complimentary. It should really map out your life and accomplishments and serve as a broad guide, while also illuminating your best via your bullet points. That said, often it is your recommendations that make a huge, if not truly the specific difference in your application success. You must meet with your recommenders, and you must ensure that they have the anecdotes to distinguish you from the many others in your cohort. It isn't enough to throw around platitudes. And in OnTrack, we have a recommendation cheat sheet template that you can use to remind your recommenders of your achievements so that they can write powerful letters on your behalf. Your recommendations need to be meaty, substantive, powerful, but plausible, and really anecdotally reveal your exceptionality. Okay, that was a lot. Earlier, I mentioned that a strong GPA and test score won't be enough to get you into the GSB, but weak stats can be a red flag for the admissions committee. So what exactly are good stats when it comes to Stanford? For a deeper dive into the stats you need to get into the GSB, check out our next video starting now.